Okay, I'm here, and thank you, Creator. Oh, thank you. Thank you for this opportunity to be here, Creator, Jehovah, and I really mean that. Thank you for what I'm about to say. Thank you, Creator, for this opportunity. Thank you, Creator, for how you're gonna use video today. Thank you, Creator, for my brethren who come in and we have fellowship together, and brethren that you have really, really anointed and really, really gifted with the opportunity of a lifetime to be able to attain to your voice you have bestowed upon these brethren. Really something that the whole world really looks for. And I thank you, Creator, to be a part of these brethren, and ask for an anointing on this video to glorify you, and also for unspoken prayer that you will hear and that you'll grant the request of my brethren, and that they would not only rejoice, but then they would come and testify of your goodness, and then other brethren, they would be encouraged as well. So, Creator, thank you. And the soul confirmations as well, please infuse these things into our mind, body, and spirit as well when we do them. And I thank you for that as well. In your name, I give thanks. So let it be. All right, brethren, here I am, Yaikwab Ben Yisrael. Welcome to my channel, a channel for faithists, brethren who can subscribe to the OAHSBE Practical Guidebook, the latest revelation of the Father. Brethren, Asanath, Mahalia, good to see y'all. Elizabeth, good to see y'all. Good to see y'all. And man, oh man, oh man, I just don't even know what to say. I do have something to share with y'all, and I hope it really bless y'all, bless your spirit. And I'm going to enjoy sharing this with you. And I just hope, man, that I can encourage brethren to, what's a good word for pray? Man, I mean, for real, man, Now, I can't even hold back. I want to tell y'all this story. Now, yesterday, right? Y'all heard the story of my neighbor. All right. Y'all heard the story of my neighbor. And the one with the scooter. Y'all heard that. I told y'all about that. He knocked on my I heard something outside my apartment. He was calling for me, and his scooter had stopped. And I went out there and I told him to try to turn it, and nothing doing. So I said, hold on a second. And I closed the door and I started praying. And I just asked the Creator to start his scooter. And then I just opened the door. I said, start it now. And then he turned the key and the thing started immediately. He started crying, 70-something-year-old man. I thought that would have been an open door right then and there. So I threw him a little bait out there for the Creator. Like, that's why, I just said something like, that's why you should let me talk to you a little bit about the Creator from time to time, right? And it went in one ear and out the other. And that's where a lot of brethren are. It's just like that story in the Bible where the Creator, he said that he healed Remember that? He healed 9 or 10 lepers. Y'all remember that story? And then one of them came back to give thanks. And he said, where are the other 9? And that's the way the world is. They just can, it'll never stop amazing me that that's the type of world we live in. He relies on that scooter. The guy that the guy that the creator fixes scooter, he relies on it, and yet it didn't open the door. It was just here today, gone tomorrow. He was thankful for a couple of seconds. It started, and he didn't expect it to start. He kind of jolted when it started, and I jolted too because I lost faith like a couple of milliseconds before he turned the key forward. I lost faith, and but I didn't show it. And then it started, and I was inside. I just exploded. Now to the second story, all right. And yet last night, another neighbor from up the hallway. I'm telling the story, Elijah, of I'm leading up to something that happened just last night. Good to see you, bro. So somebody from, late last night knocked on my door, and it was my neighbor from up the hallway. Now, he's got to use an oxygen tank and a walker. So it took a lot of effort for him to come to my apartment. I'm way down the hallway, right? And he's probably about late 70s, 80s years old, right? And so I opened the door. I said, what can I do for you, man? How you doing? And he said, my TV, the audio went out. He said, don't you have a friend that can fix it? I said, well, I think the guy you're talking about, he lives up above me, but he's in jail. And the guy said, oh, man, and, when you get up around that age, you know what I mean? People, they get, they are tied to their TV, they're tied to their TV. Let me see, Ace Nast got something. She said, yes, it's weird that people don't think that there's a power running through this great machine. So, yeah, well, no, I mean, so far as the neighbor who had the scooter, it's just that some people, it just seemed like the creator, they can't put him together with a favor like that. I learned from Amorous not to say bless. It's going to be hard for me to stay away from saying that word, because bless is like be less. She says bliss. So he's just one of them type. I learned from that guy with the scooter. I mean, it just showed me that people can't see the creator. It shows you that sometimes it just shows you that sometimes people, they just can't see the creator. And it's an amazing thing to me. So back to the story. The older guy, the guy that came by last night, he said that he wanted me to call my friend, and I said, well, he's in jail. And he just started talking about, man, his TV, and his TV is like his companion, really, for a lot of guys like that in that situation, handicapped, old, and carrying an oxygen bottle around. Imagine that. And he came all the way down here to my apartment. So I said, hey, man, just go back, play with the remote a little bit, and then just, You probably hit a button and muted it on by mistake. And the guy said, okay. And then he went back to his apartment. And then the inspiration said to me, Yaquab, you go. You go. You go. And so I went down there. About after he left, I ended up going down there. I ended up following him to his apartment, right? And so I go inside, and we were looking at the TV, and I was talking to him, and I said, "Look, Doug," I said, "I'm gonna do something, man." And I said, "I'm gonna go ahead and pray to the Creator." I said, "I'm gonna pray to the Creator, and I want you to watch me, because I want you to be a witness on what's about to happen here." And he said, "Okay, okay." And so right there in front of me, I asked the Creator to fix his TV. I just asked him right in front of me, little prayer. And then I went to, after I got finished, then that's when I made the mistake. I made the mistake, as it turns out. It's like, okay, I asked the Creator, right? Now the Creator's done his job by letting me pray. Now I'm going to step in and do the now I'm going to step in and do the Creator's work for him. You see, now that means now I jump in and fix the situation, right? And I was there for about an hour I was this button, that button, how do I get the settings, and how come I'm trying to press this option and read and do it this way. And I was there for about an hour after I prayed, and I looked at him and said, "Hey man, I'm sorry, I can't do anything, can't help you, man." And the guy, I ended up taking off, and as soon as I left the apartment, I got to my apartment. Is like, a couple minutes away. I came inside. He called me. He said, "Hey man, the audio came on." It's like, the audio. He said the audio came on. And I said, I'm at a point now where, and the guy was all happy and just, and then he wanted. Now the difference between him and the guy in the scooter, he wanted to testify. I could call that guy right now, and he would pick up his oxygen bottle and get on his walker, and he would come down here right here on video right now if I called him and asked him, because I told, he was all excited, and but it's too hard on him, and so I'm not going to do it. It's too hard on him to make him go through all that. If I had him come down, y'all would like him, and older Negro gentleman, and I pretty much had to prevent him from wanting to come and talk about it. He was just, the older you get like that, you get real grateful for little blessings, gifts, favors like that. And when he told me that in my apartment, I didn't even let myself explode. I didn't. So I like stopped myself. Like, Yaquab, you gotta get to the point where you should expect. You should expect the Creator to. It shouldn't be a shock anymore. Don't let it be a surprise when you pray like that. When you have when you get in a situation like that, don't let it be a shock. Like, I didn't expect it, And so I just sat here, and I just I did shake my head, and I just, I gave thanks, and that's it. That's the story. And so the lesson, I perceive that we in a reality where we're going to learn that lesson. That's why I think the story of Jesus Christ is prophetic. I think the Creator allowed that to go out in the world because that's prophetic about what faith is, how they're going in the cosmic era, how they're going to come into the world. I don't know. Now, I could be wrong, you know. But I think that the Creator, the story, I think the New Testament is prophetic. I think that's talking about faiths. I think that's talking about I think that's talking about how our introduction into the world is going to be. I think we're going to be doing the same thing, if not greater. I see in the current reality. And you know, the dude that's selling that electric vehicle, it's on the market now. The vehicle that he showed to the president of Zimbabwe, that was just a prototype. And you know how the world is. Well, how come it ain't in mass production? And you know, they expect him to just explode on all over the world. How come it ain't in the whole world? That was he had a prototype. That means example models, you know, for show. He had just partnered with a Chinese company to build a couple of prototypes so he could roll it out to the world. And now it's on the market. And people are going to start, that young man that came up with it, that the creator gifted with that knowledge, how to harness the energy. Now he's in talks of mass producing that. So see, we're in a situation, we don't hear much about that type of stuff here in the Western Hemisphere because, brother, you talking a lot of economic earthquakes. You talking, I'm telling you, you talking about an economic earthquake for your behind, and all of us are going to feel it. And immediately people are going to think, somehow people are going to think about the creator. They're going to think about the creator. It seems like the picture is becoming clearer and clearer. I'm telling you, I think about the situation and make me think of Jacob and Esau. It make me think of Abraham and Lot. It make me think of Joseph and his brethren, about how Africa has been done by the nations of the world. They got in there, they colonized them, they stole their resources, made them a import nation to where they couldn't build themselves up because this is the richest continent on the world, and man, the outside nations just had at them for all these thousands of years. And now it seems like this is the creator's plan for saying, you see those people that you despise, that you look down upon, that you dealt with, and you taught the whole world that they were just nothing but a bunch of mud people who don't have no value. Those are the same people. I perceive, I'm telling you that it's poetic justice if the creator makes the tail the head. It sound like the creator. I'm telling you, it sound like the creator to me. Those are his people too, man. We've been taught in the Western Hemisphere that they're just throwaway garbage people, ain't got no value. That's what they tried to teach me. And for a while it worked because thinking that they're third world, that sort of thing. And you could just see it, the poetic justice. And on top of that, I think he's going to put a spirit to make them forgive the oppressor nations and what has been done to them. The colonizers, make them forgive them. And that sound like the creator to me, to not give vengeance. It seemed like the creator, the way he break you is through love and virtue. It sounded like it to me. It sounds like that's how he break a man, you know? When he shows a man, you know, I could crush you right now. I could crush you for all you have done. And you know, a good example is like when a man go to court and he on trial for his life, and that bailiff say stand for the verdict. You know, and you know you facing a life sentence. I think that that's the situation the creator is going to put the other. He somehow there's going to be a recompense, man, because those people are his people too. See, Asenath says, yeah, they are his. Yes, they are his children too. ZACF. I don't know what that means, sis. Yeah, because the creator is humble. I mean, when you read Oahspe, the creator, he don't seem to use get back. You know, payback. It happens when you read the story of the tyrants and them kings and them queens, and how when they cross over, and I don't know how to say it, but they get paid back. It seems like they get paid back. That's what the Oahspe says. If they cross over in deity worship and, you know, that sort of thing. That's the Oahspe, man. It sounds like payback. It talk about people who are murdered and the victim is sitting there waiting on them. You'd be surprised to read that in the Oahspe. Let me see. Asan says, the flag is an emoji for Africa. Oh, okay. So that's the side of the creator I'd rather not know about, man. You know, I like it the way the creator, where it's all good, you know. You got nothing to fear, man. You know, it's all good. The things may be a little rough right now in this reality, but you know, it's all good. It's all good, man. All you have to do is just receive it. Just receive it. You know, just receive the creator. But it's like that dude on the scooter. It's just like that dude on the scooter, man. You know, I mean, he was in a real jam. He was in a real jam, man. It stopped on him. He relies on that thing. That's his legs. And the creator, he did him a solid. The thing started and he kind of jolted, like, what? You know? And then after that, he was just like one of them dudes in the story of the Bible. He was like them 9 other lepers. They were healed. They just kept walking on, you know. Just kept walking on. Yet the brother with the TV, you know, I'm telling you, man, I could call him right now and he would make a beeline down here. You know, yeah, that's true. I was sitting there and we were working with the TV, and then you know, first of all, Yaquab said, let's pray, and I want you to see what's going to happen. And then he prayed, and then he went and worked on it, and nothing happened, and then he left, and then it came on, you know. So I just share that, brethren, because it just blessed, blissed, BLISSED. It was, let me see, what are other words that I can use for blessed? It was favorable to my soul. It was grace to my soul. It invoked happiness on my soul, you know. And I'm telling you, man, If you don't try to see the creator every day, if you don't try, man, it's going to be harder on you. And you have to develop an empathy. We gotta, that's all the Oahspe talk about, really, is empathy for other people. That's all reality is, man. Empathy for other people. Empathy, learn it. And then when you can see the creator every day like that, it just it empowers you. You know what I mean? It does something to you, man. That's when you see that the creator's way is the best, man. It can't be no other way. It can't be no other way. Now it's about time for the soul confirmations, and I'm gonna do it differently from now on. Got the idea from Elizabeth. I'm gonna do one soul confirmation a week. One soul confirmation a week. Just do one soul confirmation a week. Get it good and down into our spirit. One soul confirmation a week. So when we start doing the soul confirmations, it's just going to be one a week. We're going to do it once, 3 times for the whole week. And then that way we can get it good and down in our spirit. So it's just going to be one soul confirmation a week. So it's about time for the soul confirmation. So let's just go ahead and do that right now. We're going to do one for the whole week. And I'm going to start at the very top. We're going to do one for the whole week. And so hello? Hello? Okay. Automated appointment. Okay. So, brethren, on the count of 3, we're going to do this one. We're going to start all over again on this page right here. We're going to start with the very first one. We're going to do this one all week. And then the next week, we're going to go down. And then we're going to go down. Then we're going to go down. Then we're going to go down. And if anyone is new to the channel, read the left-hand side of the screen here. Just read that. Read it nice and slow. Meditatively. And then you'll get caught up to speed as to what we're doing. We value in this room here. We value our soul. We value our soul. The creator, he seems to emphasize what's a good word for maturing, for teaching the soul, for acknowledging the soul, for the value of the soul. In this room here, we realize that the creator, he speaks through the soul. In this room here, we realize the soul is the really light of the creator to lead us to our highest glory, the soul. Before it can do that, though, we got to learn about it. We have to confirm it. We have to do things like grow it. That's why it's important to read what I got here on the screen, the left-hand side. Read that. There's more to it, but you can read this and get a good idea of what we're getting ready to do here on this with the soul confirmations. In this room here, this seems the creator has given me the inspiration that we have things to do while we're in this reality. We got things we have to do. We ain't just here to just, hang out. Let's do the soul confirmations before I begin. We're going to do I am a soul organized of the potencies of the living eternal I am. We're going to do it 3 times together on 3 at the beginning and the end of the video. Okay, so on 3 times together on 3. Let's make it bigger. So 3 times together on 3. Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3. I am a soul organized of the potencies of the living eternal I am. Again, 1, 2, 3. I am a soul organized of the potencies of the living eternal I am. Again, I am a soul organized of the potencies of the living eternal I am. And that is the soul confirmation for the beginning of the video on February 17th, 2025. So, brethren, there was the story that really gifted my soul, asking. I know that all of us know that we should pray, man. You know, pray. And you read the Oahspe, and the creator, he says something like there are 2 types of prayer. One that the world prays to hit the lottery, and then there's the one that the faithists pray for the blessing of their brethren. And he says that's the one that he answers. The one where you make prayer for the benefit of your brethren. He said that's the one he answers. So let me go to my room and let's look at see if I can. Actually, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna get to the video pretty quick, because what I did is I got led to a website that is really gonna bless you, brethren's soul. I got led to and many of you probably already know about it. It's called My Oahspe. And the brother or sister that did it, they really blessed. Oh, shoot. They really blessed. They really gifted. They really furnished. They really endowed us. They really invoked happiness on brethren who take advantage of that website. They give you the way the brother did it. It's a nice summary, man, of the Oahspe. A nice little summary. Now, here's my Facebook room. I have a food ministry. There's my contact information. And I try to target orphans and elderly and disabled for charity. And if I ever find out, man, that I can join hands with somebody doing the same thing, I will do it. And I will not turn away a request for charity as well. I realize that sometimes, brethren, you need a helping hand, man. And I'm just here to let you know I will not run away from you, man. I'm sorry, I won't do it. There's my room. My brother Omian, he's got a room. You can join. You can send him a request. Oahspe College University. There's his room right there. And then he's got another room. You can send him a request if you're on Facebook. And then you can join that room where we just have fellowship and just share verses and try to have conversation. So now I think what I should do is, this may be a bit of a lengthy read. It may be a bit of a lengthy read, so I should start the video early. This is the website that I came across that I want to share with you, brethren. and it's got like 5 or 6 parts. And the brother or sister, whoever did this, I'm sure you brethren, you probably already know about this, did a really good job, man. It's easy to understand, and it lays down a foundation, a good little foundation for when you're talking about the Oahspe. So we may get out here early tonight, because I'm just going to go through this and then just comment where I can. Hot chocolate and cocoa powder. For those of you wondering what I'm drinking. And a little bit of rum. No, no, I don't drink. I'm just kidding. But it is hot chocolate and cocoa powder. Let me see. Mahal, you said, what is the website? And the website here, let me put it in the room. This is My Oahspe. It's called My Oahspe. And see, you know what? You know that there are other brethren too. There are other sites for your to gift you, to encourage you. That's it right there. And so you can copy and paste that and put it in your browser. It should bring it up. Really nice little read, man. So may the Creator bless the reading of his word. May the Creator bless the reading of his word. Okay. You can read this. Oahspe is a channel work that was automatically written by Dr. John Newborough in 1881. The first time I heard about Oahspe was from the Law of One. Now, I heard about the Law of One before, but I haven't not looked at it in detail. The Law of One. I have heard about it. I looked at it, but I never dug into it. The Law of One. He says, which is a channel work, talking about Oahspe, which is a channel work about the metaphysical blueprint of spiritual evolution. Now, metaphysical means other than physical, means the unseen world. It says, Law of One confirmed Oahspe to be a reliable source and reliable source, and explained that both sources cover many of the same existential and historical subjects in different ways. Law 1 uses PhD dissertation level question and answer sessions, while Oahspe uses the last 72,000 years of our known physical history of the so-called religions. Because when you read Oahspe, you know, the first 48,000 years was the creation account. And then the last 24,000 years of the 72,000 years is the time of Cephas, which is like establishing and enforcement of laws and religion, which time ended in the beginning of Cosmos. So altogether, the Earth is like 4.7 billion years old. But the Oahspe only covers a certain period of written history, documented history. And so the last 24,000 years is like where the Oahspe documents. The last 20, I mean, creation is written about, you know, the Book of Jehovah, it talks about creation. But I mean, the beginning of all things, and then you get down 24,000, 48,000 years later, the flood, and then the Oahspe picks up with the written account from the flood until Cosmin, where we are right now. So 72,000 years from now, since the historical account, documented account of all things, I guess you could say. It says both sources provide, meaning the law of one and Oahspe. It says both sources provide answers to existential questions such as creation of the universe, the earth, and humanity, the purpose of life, and what happens when we die. Both describe the many attempts made through the many messengers to raise the awareness of humanity, to raise the awareness of humanity. And all in preparation for the age of Cosmin, synonymous with Elijah, Aquarius, age of Cosmin, synonymous with age of Aquarius, 5D, or the new earth. You know, I want to share real quick, man. You know, we've been talking about the free energy that the creator has been allowing to come out in the age of Cosmin now. We're in the time when Pluto has went to Aquarius. How much you want to bet? How much you want to bet misery, or how much you want to bet pain and the end of pain, the end of pain and disease is on the horizon? How do you like that? What do you brethren feel about that? Do you think it's impossible? What about that? The end of pain and disease, is that possible? You know that the creator is able. I mean, just like with this free energy, they can't figure it out. You know, real famous professor went down there, you know, and he flew down there. You know, he couldn't figure it out how the guy had harnessed free energy. And I don't want to be vulgar, man, but I know what he was thinking. He was thinking that the guy was an African. He was thinking the guy was an African, and there's no way. And see how the world has been set up to think that? I was telling you, I just think that the world has been set up to look at that continent of people that way, so that the time would come when the creator would set the whole world on his head using those people. It's the perfect poetic justice. Oahspe covers cosmogony and religious history. It says, Oahspe begins and ends with detailed information about the origin and workings of the universe. Cosmogony. In between, Oahspe provides a 72,000-year historical account where the first 48,000 years covers the creation of mankind, the establishment of a new system and order, and the sinking of a continent, the Great Flood. And, you know, he mentions the Great Flood here. One reason why I like to look at the world, to me, it's like a warning. To me, it's like a warning. There was a reason that Pan was sunk. And we're repeating the same thing. We live in a reality where we're repeating the same thing. We repeating the same thing, man. And you could tell when one of the earmarks of our reality is when we look at the leaders of the people of this reality, look at their morality. one of the things that I read about the the doom of the continent of Pan, one of the things, one of the key words that was mentioned, I'm telling you, one of the key words that was mentioned, guess what? It was self-conceit. Self-conceit. When you're conceited, that was one of the things mentioned. In addition to other declining morality, it says for the remaining 24,000 years of history where we are now, going back 24,000 years. But see, the end of this 24,000 years, it brings you up to 1848. So we're past that, only by a few decades. So it says for the remaining 24,000 years of history, Oahspe tells for the remaining 24,000 years of history, Oahspe tells the detailed stories of the rise and fall of civilization after civilization. As our ancestors paved the way for us, the generations before us were led to worship one thing one day and another thing the next, until they worship just about everything on earth and in the heavens. Our ancestors bounced back and forth between extreme belief and extreme disbelief, so that today we can look back and find the mean in between. And it's interesting too, if I may digress for a second, it's like, for a while there, when you read, we went from like not believing anything and then believing everything, and kind of, we were spiritual to the point of an imbalance, in the sense that we were more spiritual than corporeal, spiritual to the exclusion of corporeality. And then, like in the time of Apollo, we were hooked on looks, if you will. And then Thor, where he, his thing was to bring the people back to, it's like Apollo brought about a heavy emphasis on corporality, remember the beautifying of humans. And it created a real big imbalance. And then Thor came along and he started emphasizing the spiritual, getting away from the corporality, and to emphasize more of the spiritual, not to create an imbalance, but to kind of offset the imbalance that was taking place, where people were placing more emphasis on the beauty and form and shapeliness of humans to the exclusion of the spiritual. And so Thor comes, he's trying to correct and balance that mind. And then people swing over to spirituality to the exclusion of corporeality. So the creator, he sends Osiris, to bring men back to the understanding of the corporal. Because see, when you read, it's like the whole Oahspe, it's like the story of balance. The spiritual man and the corporal man, to balance that, both of those vibrations, balance, perfect spirituality, perfect corporeality. And we keep seeming to reach to the scales, hard to balance the scales, the different arc cycles. It's like we swing one way We swing to the corporeal. We swing to the spiritual. And we haven't reached that balance yet. But in Cosmin, all of that comes to a head. That's why it says here, our ancestors bounced back and forth between extreme belief and extreme disbelief, so that today we can look back and find the mean in between. It says, on all corporal worlds, Jehovah, Creator, hath provided these 2 seasons for every race. He created a season for the development of the corporal senses and a season for the development of spiritual senses. To find the mean between these is to find Cosmin, which lieth far in the future. So the agenda for man, ever since he was created, was to be able to balance the physical and the spiritual. Physical and the spiritual balance it. So my question is, how would you, brethren, describe the current reality? Is there an imbalance? Is it approaching a balance? Or are we swinging one way more than the other? Is the question that we should ask ourselves. And then he gives a nice little timeline over here on the right-hand side of the screen. From the beginning, from after the flood until now. On the right-hand side of the screen here. Nice little timeline. You get that timeline down, man, it really helps to clear up a lot of things, you know. It says Oahspe's history covers pre-cosmic worship of gods, prophets, science, and everything in between. Pre-cosmic worship of gods, prophets, science, and everything in between. It says, after the great flood 24,000 years ago, Earth was ruled by great gods, including Apollo, Thor, and Osiris, that each served a particular purpose. Each served a particular purpose. Apollo, Thor, and Osiris. And he really makes it easy, breaks down the Oahspe easy. You know, he talks about the difference between Apollo, the difference between, he talks about the difference between Apollo, Thor, and Osiris. And I know there were other gods of the earth, but he singles them out for the impact they had on the reality of men. Apollo, Thor, and Osiris, they each had a particular impact on the vibration of men. It says that each served a particular purpose. They each served a particular purpose. Oahspe calls these gods high-raised Ethereal hosts. And so, again, just keep in mind, the whole thing with man is balance, which finally explains to me Libra. You know, Libra's the scales, and they represent balance. Balance is, now I think I can see why balance is important. It's very important, because when you have imbalance, you got what we got today. You got people who have and people who don't have. Either because they're overstanding, you know, their lack of spirituality or lack of corporality, it creates an imbalance. You got people who have and people who don't have for one reason or another. We haven't reached the balance part. Now Cosmin is going to take care of that for us. That's the whole picture right there. That's the whole picture right there. That's the whole picture right there. All our history of the Oahspe, man, trying to get us to reach that balance. Balance. So that there ain't no more imbalances. It says the reign of Apollo around 18,000 BCE. Oh, okay. He mentions it here. So that's where I got this from. All right. See, now they're going to tell us about the difference between Apollo, Thor, and Osiris. Now look how simple he makes it. He says the reign of Apollo focused on instilling a new beauty standard, using statues and idols that inspired mortals, partner selection, and it laid the foundation for the coming race in regard to physical form. And then Thor's reign came, and it focused on heightened spirituality. So they went from one to the other, to the other. Thor's reign, 15,000 BCE, or yeah, focus on heightened spirituality, specifically teaching all races of mankind, not just the sacred people, about the Creator and His creations, the reign of Thor. And then this set the stage for the reign of Osiris, 12,000 BCE, in which mortals were no longer encouraged to focus on dependence on spirit. Instead, focus turned toward corporeal knowledge, science, sun, the moon, and the stars, instead of just like asking for understanding and just expecting the angels to just give it to you without you working for it or trying to learn yourself. Over dependence on the spirit. It says Osiris came to put an end to that, to get us to learn on our own. It says Osiris, his reign was to bring mankind back around to spirit. Or no, wait a minute. I'm sorry. It says to bring mankind back around to spirit. So we have Osiris, and men looked at the corporal knowledge of things. Okay. Now we got to create a counterweight so that we don't put too much emphasis on one and not on the other. Okay, so we get the knowledge of the sun, the moon, and the stars. So now we get good corporal knowledge. Now the Creator, He, in order to bring us back around to the spirit, He gives the prophet Zarathustra of Persia, who was born about 9,000 years ago, and then every 3,000 year period after that, up until 2,000 years ago, a new set of prophets were born to continue the same teachings that Zarathustra had taught. So you see Zarathustra, you see law and commandments primarily. And then it says, over the years, efforts were made to meet the student where they are. There was a time when mankind learned through stone and wooden idols, and a time when they used songs, signs, and ceremonies. And a time when mankind consulted spirits of the newly dead. And a time when they worshiped the stars, the sun, and the moon. And much learning occurred through prophets, saviors, rabbi, priests, oracles, seers, and even false gods. But Oahspe reiterates over and over again that now is the time to set all that aside and for mankind to pray for himself and in his own way. So you can see, like when you read this, the Creator, it's just like if you have a child, you don't, I seen a video last night, little 8-year-old boy, 8 years old. And He is, he's 8 years old, and the video was about him fishing, and then going to the market and selling his fish, and just focusing on the ability of this little 8-year-old kid to be productive. He has to, the way he fishes is kind of primitive. Takes his fishing line, takes a hook, and takes some piece of foam to tie it for the float, for his fishing line, so he can know when he's got a hit on his line. The way he sets up his fishing line, he takes a bamboo piece of wood, sticks it in the ground, takes a 2-liter soda bottle, or the jug, for like a alert when he gets a hit. Then he situates it on the stick in the ground in such a way that when the fish hits it, it's going to make a noise and start spinning it. It shows the ingenuity of that little 8-year-old kid. Shows how he built a bamboo like little raft. Well, it's not very little, but he used that to go out into the water to fish. And very, very industrious young man. It's something that anybody can do, but he does it, you know. And it's the same way with the creator. It's like he don't want see, in this reality, we ain't got no respect for a 40-year-old man living at home. You know what I mean? Living at home, man, in the basement or even in the same bedroom. And this world ain't got no respect for some guy like that. And so the creator is like he's saying he want us to get out there and be our own man and woman. Be your own man and woman. Be able to be independent, be autonomous. Is another whole lesson. Big lesson of Oahspe. Not to rely on anybody other than our own inspiration. It seems like the creator that's the whole agenda for us. It says, but Oahspe reiterates over and over again that now's the time to set aside or set all that aside and for mankind to pray for himself and in his own way. Man shall have the testimony of all speculation and philosophies before him, together with the fruits thereof. Meaning we're going to have a full accounting of history and those who went before us of the will of the creator. That's why we got the Oahspe. So that we can consider everything, so that we can come to the conclusion that we want to reach a good corporeal balance and a good spiritual balance. Not sitting around always just relying on this, I'm spiritual. You're never proactive about anything, or you're just totally 100% corporeal. You're a money getter, You have no desire to learn about spiritual things so that you might learn to be benevolent toward your brethren. It says, and he shall judge that which is good by the evidence of past practices. There's a time for all things, and Oahspe's religious history describes how things were, but not how they will be. It says, in the age of Cosmin, testimony of the past will be found today. for how things will be. It was always planned that in the beginning of Cosmon, which is now, there would be many discoveries that would prove there is a government of heaven upon the earth. It was foretold that we would discover ruined cities. Yep. That continent below Japan and other cities that had been buried by falling nebulae. We would decipher their histories and artifacts and ancient texts would be as a key to unlock the doctrines and languages of times and seasons long past. Distant, diverse groups of people from all corners of the world with a multiple of languages would discover they have been taught the same thing. In the age of Cosmic, that's how we're going to be rejoined with our brethren all over the world. We're going to discover that we've learned the same thing. That's got to be going on now. Some of the bullet points of the Oahspe, the story of the flood, will prove that advanced civilization existed long before, and that surviving spiritual people reestablished civilization on Earth in the five different divisions. The five different divisions. Egypt, Japan, or Asia, Guatemala, Europe, I think. The five divisions, I forget. The five divisions. Africa, China, America, that's three. I forget the other two. Europe, I forget the other one. It says the lost tribes, lost 7,000 years after the flood, went on to join the Israelites that Moses had led out of Egypt, and later became the shepherd kings of Persia, and eventually the Essenes that raised up Joshua. This is interesting. The shepherd kings. Here, he's saying that the shepherd kings were part of the lost tribes. It says the lost tribes, meaning those who were dispersed after the flood, and they went to different continents to spread the light. Some of them, I forget how the Oahspe describes it. They broke off. They are described as the lost tribes. It says the lost tribes lost 7,000 years. They were lost 7,000 years after the flood and went on to join the Israelites that Moses led out of Egypt. So somehow they migrated over to Egypt. They joined the Israelites over there, and they later became the shepherd kings of Persia. And eventually the Essenes that raised up Joshua, Jesus. The seven tetracts, deadly sins, which use the same everlasting names in all languages. Now, this is something, see, it says here, all nations, all corners of the world with a multitude of languages, they would discover they'd been taught these things that we're reading right now. We all are learning the same things. These things right here, that there are 280 signs, emblems, and symbols made to be the sacred language of mortals in all the divisions of the earth, including the crescent, triangle, mass, 4 sacred days of the changing of the moon, circumcision. All the nations of the world, they learned this stuff too. 3 great lights, 3 lesser lights, 3 symbols of light, not related to the Trinity and Holy Ghost in the New Testament. Every continent played a role. Throughout the last 24,000 years, there was a specific objective. All right. Throughout the last 24,000 years, the the history of the Oahspe. There was the time of Cephas that ended with Cosmin. Throughout the last 24,000 years, there was a specific objective for each division, continent, specifically the faiths of each division in preparation for the age of Cosmin. Oahspe identifies faiths as virtuous, righteous living person that is non-idolatrous, worshiping none other than the Creator, Jehovah, Elohi, Great Spirit, as you'll see below. The faiths of Egypt, Africa, the Israelites were appointed to go westward, while their brothers and sisters held China and India to the All One. See? Egypt, Africa was called Ham. Faiths called Israelites in this region. Faiths called Israelites in this region, Egypt and Africa. Faiths, they were called Israelites in this region, were inspired to migrate westward all the way to the west coast of America by the age of Cosmin. So I think you're talking about the natives. Faiths all over the world would be able to trace their origins back to this region, Egypt and Africa. Faiths all over the world would be able to trace their origins back to this region, Egypt and Africa. You see why I think that the Creator in this day and age is going to make Africa the head of nations? Does it stand to reason that there was a reason why he allowed them to be the footstool of the world for so long? Does it make any sense? I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. The role that India played. It said India, a mighty people with a multiplicity of gods and languages that were still able to preserve the Creator's revelations. So that today we can know what was revealed to the ancients. Brahma and his son Vedi transmitted the Vedas. The role that China played. China's inhabitants were inspired to keep to themselves and become the most numerous people united as one peacefully. They were also able to retain much of the first language given to the earth called Panic, Chinese. That's the role they played. The role Japan played. Japan was established from what was left of the sunken continent, the Great Flood, 24,000 years ago. And it retains the name given it to it at that time. Zapan translate relic of the continent of Pan. Okay, now we got America's role. From the very beginning, established differently than the continents of the East, with a separation of church and state dedicated to the overthrowing of all idols of God and Lord and Savior and of everything that is worshipped besides the Creator. So that's our role. And so historically, you see movements that have gone against the established order, like Protestantism and different revolutions against the authority of the papacy. It says these objectives will fulfill the prophecy that in the age of Cosmin it shall come to pass that the faiths of the children of Moses shall find the faiths of the children of China and the faiths of the children of Capelia, and all these people shall cry in that day, no God, no Lord, no Savior. We got to be close. We got to be close to that, brother. We got to be close to that. Let me see. Mahali says, seems to me it's American. I don't know what we were referring to, Mahalia. So in Cosmin, there's a unity. All these continents, the East and the West, they at some point cry out in that day, no God, no Lord, no Savior. A note about Israelites is although Oahspe simply states that Israelites was a name given to the faithless of Egypt, the Old Testament Bible says that Jacob of Canaan wrestled an angel and was then renamed Israel, which means a man seeing God. After a severe drought came to Canaan, the descendants of Israel, so Israelites migrated to Egypt to eventually become the 12 tribes of Israel. Earth has been managed for the last 14 million years. Oahspe states that Earth has been under formal Etherian oversight by angelic overseers for the last 14 million years. That's before even the creation. And Oahspe's history covers only the last 72,000 years. The Earth and solar system orbits a central point, which Oahspe calls the North Star. Every 4.7 million years, it says the Earth and solar system orbits a central point, which Oahspe calls the North Star, every 4.7 million years. It says every 4.7 million years, it says we've had an ethereal administration for almost 3 full orbits. Then it shows you a figure here. Figure 1 shows that Oahspe's history covers the previous age, which was the age of Cephas. So you got a chart here, and it shows you a breakdown. It shows you I don't know if you can see that very well, the reading, the writing. The commencement of the Etherian administration 14 million years ago, and then the first subgalactic orbit 4 million, when the Earth started its journey around the central point of the North Star, and then a second galactic orbit, and then a third broken down into sums, which breaks down into a Simu, age of Simu, where, corporeality is created. And then Hotu, which is summer, which is equal to harvesting, if I'm not mistaken. And then autumn, equal to dissolving, and Uz, equal to dissolution. And then beneath that, it lists the breakdown of each age. Each age, the age of Hawk, Cephas, Cosmic, and seasons, if I'm not mistaken. So it's just a breakdown of a breakdown of the time, from the time that the Etherians were managing the earth till the time of Cephas, where recorded history, meaning the Oahspe, deals with. And then the further breakdown of the cyclical nature of the earth, spring, summer, autumn, winter. And that's it. So it says figure 1 shows that Oahspe's history covers the previous age, the age of Cephas, the past 24,000 years, which was a time when the laws of the land and religions were established and were enforced. It says now the earth is in the next age, the age of Cosmos, which is the age to give man the system of universal peace, love, harmony, and cosmos. Adapted to all nations and peoples in all the world. So in their own way, in their own flavor, we will exist in peace, love, harmony, and cosmos in our own way. It sounds like what it's saying, because it says adapted to all nations, peoples in the world, in the cosmic era where we are right now. That's what we're facing. So since 1848 was the beginning of Cosmos, and then you look at the Oahspe, you see where like arc cycles. At the beginning of the arc cycles, it usually took a period of time in order to clean things out, to what's a good word for reorder things? Out with the old, in with the new. And we fall into that period where we're not fresh into the Cosmic era, but we're in that age of time where there's like upheaval. There's, an unsettling type of feeling in this reality because we are unbalanced. And so we see a process going on. We're not where we should be, but we know we're headed somewhere. One of the main things is because Pluto is in Aquarius and is showing us technology. We've been talking about free energy that's coming upon the earth, which is going to undo a lot of man's kingdom. That's going to undo a lot of man's kingdom. I was looking at those videos. I like to look at videos after I like to do my ministries at night. And then when I'm finished, to wind down, I like to I find myself looking at fishing videos a lot and just the way other people live in other parts of the world. And they may be less developed, but they seem to be more at peace than we are. Even though they live in what we would call backwards type of lifestyle, I've been looking recently at the East Indians fishermen. Let me see how much further I got to go because I don't have that much further to go. So let me show you what I've been looking at. And my point is that the way they live, we would call it backwards and disgusting, a lot of the things they do. But they seem to be at peace. With their lifestyle. Now, why am I bringing this up? Now, here's a video, and it just gives you an idea of what I'm talking about, a little bit of an idea. These guys, you know, they the conditions that they work in is really pretty rough. You should see when they eat their food. They basically sit down and dig in with their hands. And they seem to be really at peace. They seem to enjoy each other. Now, here's where they're eating their food, and we would look at it, and it looked kind of primitive. They just dig in with their hands and they, you know, and they but they are just happy as could be, man. Here, come join us. You want some food? you know, you know. See, now I think the point I'm just trying to, point that I forgot the point that I wanted to make. It had something to do with shoot, I forgot the point. I forgot my point. I forgot the point. I'm trying to remember it and I can't remember it. One thing that came to my mind, the earth is going to be in a lot of trouble. Earth that relies on the flesh eating industry. I mean, there are, especially the Eastern Asiatic countries, it seems. What is the earth going to do when the creator takes hold of the end of flesh eating? And that's like a big part of their livelihood. I don't know. I forgot. I had the point that I wanted to make. I was sitting up here trying to remember it. I can't get it. I can't remember it. So let me go back. I'll probably remember it as I'm going along here. So let's get back. It says, as Earth travels along its pathway, each 72,000 year section, which is an age, is divided up into 24 cycles that each span about 3,000 years. At the beginning of each new 3,000 year cycle, a new overseer from that particular area of space time is selected by a holy council of Orion chiefs to manage the earth with the title God of the Earth. For the first few hundred years of each new cycle, there is a higher level of interaction between the angelic overseers and mankind to carry out necessary cleanup and set up for the new cycle. See, that's where we are right now. We're in a carryover time. We just come out of Cephas. And it's kind of like a cleaning house is going on right now. A cleaning house. Ever since 1848, it's kind of like a going from one age to another. It's like, how you fade in and you fade out, and the old, it becomes less and less, and then the new becomes stronger and stronger. And it's saying here that that's the normal pattern of the different changing arc cycles. So we're in that time where if you are able to pay some attention to the shifting that's going on in the world, you'll see one of the things you'll see is if you listen to the news, they'll talk about a shifting of a going from a unipolar, is that the right term, society, from a hegemon to a unipolar society, where a hegemon is like where there's one major power. And the unipolar society is when there are many nations. And we're in the process of shifting from one to another. And America don't want to give it up. Remember, I was giving the example of like a man who doesn't want to lose his girlfriend. And I'm telling you, man, that's one of the roughest times of life for anybody, lose your spouse. Especially when it's a breakup like that, because one or the other is not ready. When one or the other is not ready and it's a breakup, it's a terrible thing mentally, physically, and spiritually. You brethren know that. Geopolitically, it's the same way. America don't want to let go. They don't want to share the earth. Now we're trying to bully people. It's like a guy threatening his girlfriend, you better not do this or you better not do that. And it's the same way geopolitically right now, globally, brethren. We're in the same situation. We're trying to bully other nations, talking about do it our way or else, and the other nations is saying, no, we ain't going back to you. We tired of the spousal abuse. No, I found somebody else. I found another lover, man, and I ain't going back to you. And America is saying, man, I'm number one. There is no one better than me. And so he can't give it up. He won't give it up. And the situation is bound. The Oahspe says that it won't be through war that the downfall of the hegemonic American system happens. It will be from within. Remember, we read that? The downfall of the American times and seasons is going to be from within. It's like a rot from within. That's what the Creator said. And then when you look at the leaders, see, that's what I look at. I look at the leaders. I look at the leaders, and it confirms, it verifies the Oahspe. You brethren, we got a man in the White House right now that is devoid of character, of morality, of empathy, sees only money. And not just him, but the Oahspe, the famous verse, all the leaders of our high offices, the Oahspe said they were going to be rogues and undisciplined men. So we're set up for a cleaning out. The Creator, the cleaning out, the old has got to be cleaned up and moved out. It's just like in the Bible where Jesus Christ said you cannot put old wine into new wine skins, or else the bottle will break and the wine will run out. See? That's what this is saying right here. For the first few hundred years of each new cycle, there's a high, see, we got a high time of highlight going on. At the same time, there is a cleanup and a setup for the new cycle. We're in the time of, we got the Oahspe, we're being enlightened, we know what the beast is, we come out of the beast, we submit only to the Creator. We know what's going on with when we know what being born in the Spirit is about. We know that we are in the embryo. We know that faithists know that they have an opportunity to make themselves, to prepare for what they know is true. We live in a world that is a bunch of money getters and Uzians who cannot receive the spiritual, the inspiration. We know all these things, man. The knowledge of free energy is going to wipe out. It's going to wipe out man's industry. It's going to wipe it out. I think that's what led me to look at those nations, the Eastern Asiatic nations. A big part of their economy is fleshly. Well, I think everybody's economy, but They seem to have more of an emphasis. The poor of the land seem to turn to fishing. I wonder what will they do when the Creator, when he brings about the knowledge. I mean, he's already bringing it about to turn from flesh. But they rely on flesh. They rely on catching it, selling it. It's the only way of life for a lot of those people. What do you, brethren, ever wonder what will become of them? That's their only way of survival. They live off of the land. A lot of their economy is flesh eating. So we're going through that time where there's a changing from the old to the new. That cycle, we're in the early stages of the 3,000 years where the ethereal administration literally goes into a reorganization. And then he quotes from the Oahspe. He says that Jehovah caused the earth and the family of the sun to travel in an orbit, the circuit of which requireth them 4,700,000 years. And he placed in the line of the orbit at distances of 3,000 years ethereal lights, the which places as the earth passes through, angels from the second heaven come into his corporeal presence. As ambassadors they come in companies of hundreds and thousands and tens of thousands. These are called the ethereal host of the Most High. So you picture us on the highway, and then you know how you pass signs on the highway? That's us. We pass like this world, and then they come out and greet you, and then you pass that world, and they come out and greet you, and you know, it's like you go from one place to the next every so many miles. And then they have a job to do. Let's say they, you know, we travel and then we make it to the next 3,000 years, and then the angels come out. They say, here, you need to tune up here. And then they send us on our way. And then 3,000 miles or years later, those set of angels, they come out, those people, they say, here, you need this. This part here is wearing out. You need to get a you know, you need to get a refurbishing here, or you know what I mean? So as it says, the first cycle of the new age of the Cosmic Age began in 1848. So we're only about 170 years or halfway through the initial cleanup period. This may explain why life on Earth is so chaotic right now, between worldwide protests for human rights, the exposition of political and institutional corruption. That's a big one right there, boy, I'm telling you. The exposition of political and institutional corruption. Extreme weather and climate change and a mass awakening for humanity. See, you kind of, that's kind of a very subjective one, mass awakening for humanity. You have to kind of like believe that. I mean, I believe that people are seeing that we cannot make it governing ourselves. We need to change somehow. I think that the younger generation sees the need for us to worship the Creator. I think they see that religion can't make it, how we should have had the world's problems solved by now. I think the younger generation will see, I think the Creator is going to show them that something is wrong. Something is wrong. We just cannot keep going on like this. And the faiths up till now have been used to lay the foundation so that the younger generation will look back. They'll see the things that we've been teaching, the things that way we've been living and believing, and gravitate to that. And then also, brethren, again, I want to emphasize, pray. You know, pray, man. Have a testimony. When you talk to people, because people can't always listen to somebody studying, you know, breaking something down. There comes a time people, you know, other than Faithists, I'll say, Uzians. That's why the Creator in times past, we just got finished reading, he gave them things that they could feel, you know, like temple worship or idols or other things that are now forbidden because the Creator, he was reaching them where they were. And so when you can prove to someone, you could talk about things like, you know, not just academia, but you can get on their level and say, hey man, look, you know, that's something they can feel. What the guy on that scooter, he should have been able to feel the Creator. He should have been able to feel him, man, you know? Like, hey, you know, he did go in and he prayed. He didn't see me pray, the first guy. The second guy saw me. I told him, hey man, look, I want you to watch me because I want you to see what's going to happen. And I'll be honest, man, after I prayed and the sound didn't come on and I went to work on it, I felt foolish. I did feel foolish. But I didn't charge the Creator. I just kept working. And it was like the Creator said, okay, wait till Yaquab get out of the way and then turn the audio on. Because he's going to try to get it turned on himself. And then the guy who he's trying to help is going to look at Yaquab, you know. It's like the Creator said, hey, look, angels, y'all, hold up, let him, let Yaquab, let him work on it, okay, until he gets it, that's not how I want to do this. And so an hour later, I say, hey, man, I give up. Ain't not much I can do. And I'm sorry, man. And, you know, why don't you just go ahead and just buy another TV? And the guy said, okay, man. You know, he said, thanks for trying to help me and everything. And I went back to my apartment and my phone rang. He said, it came on. It was like the Creator said, get him out of the way and then turn it on, you know? And that guy, now I'm telling you, man, he would have, if I would have said, hey, Doug, come down and tell him what happened, he would have made a beeline down here because he was happy, you know. See, he could see he saw the Creator, you know. I said, man, in the future, I said, now you've seen what happened. So now you can know that when you get in the jam, you get in the situation, why don't you go ahead and try him. Don't be afraid to try him. You know, try the Creator, man. Try him at his word. Let's go ahead. Let's see if he's real. Let's see it. You know, let's see it, man. A lot of people are afraid to do that because they don't think that the Creator can, you know what I mean, answer prayer like that. So there is the agenda is for a mass awakening, and I think when you get the free energy, I keep harping on it because, man, when that brother down there he starts mass producing those cars, and then that word gets out because America is not really trying to pay any attention because he'll destroy our industry. He'll destroy it overnight. That one brother, and I know the Creator's got more. I know he's got, it's like the thing that keeps playing in my mind is you ain't seen nothing yet, brother. Hey, brother, do you know you ain't seen nothing yet? Matter of fact, I even said a comment. I saw a comment. I was looking at a video and I read the comments, and one dude said, hey, man, God is just getting started. He just getting started. See, you think that's something, brother? He just getting warmed up, huh? How do you like that? He just getting warmed up, man, huh? So you might as well get ready. Huh? See? You might as well get ready, brother. Creator, thank you for this word. You bless. Oh, shoot. You encouraged my soul, and I pray the same for my brethren. Thank you for the brother who created this website for the understanding of his brethren and sisters so we could read it and then we could be encouraged. That we can keep preparing ourselves, that we can prepare ourselves for what we read in the study where the brother, he brought out that with every new arc cycle, there is a high enlightenment time, and it's necessary for the reorganization and preparation for the new heavens, the new earth. And so, Creator, I ask for myself and my brethren that you anoint our minds, body, soul, and spirit with health and healing, with comprehension, and that we can redeem the time. And thank you for the testimony of the man and his TV. Creator, in your name, I pray for the soul confirmation that it will be infused in our mind, body, and spirit. So, Creator, I thank you in your name. So let it be. All right, brother, let's do the soul confirmation, and I'll close the video unless y'all want to say anything or have a make a comment or anything. This is the soul confirmation. We're gonna be doing this the whole week, and then week by week we're gonna do it differently. We're gonna do one for the whole week. So let's do the one we started out with. I am a soul organized up here. 3 times together on 3. Okay, ready, begin. 1, 2, 3. I am a soul organized of the potencies of the living eternal I am. Again, 1, 2, 3. I am a soul organized of the potencies of the living eternal I am. And I forgot to share the screen. Sorry about that, brother. Let's do it again. Ready? 1, 2, 3. I'm a soul organized of the potencies of the living eternal I am. Again, 1, 2, 3. I am a soul organized of the potencies of the living eternal I am. One more time. 1, 2, 3. I am a soul organized of the potencies of the living eternal I am. And brethren, that's it for the soul confirmation for February 17, 2025, the end of the video. Brethren, all right. Thank you for joining me. I'll put the link in the room if anybody, let's see if anybody wants to say anything or make a comment. You can have the click on the link. I'll hang out for about 30 more seconds. So that was that study. I think I have it in the description box. And plus, I think I put the link in the chat here earlier in the video. It's called My Oahspe, and it's got like 4 or 5 parts to it. So we're in for a hell of a read. The next few videos, we're in for a hell of a let me see, blissing, not blessing, blissing. Amaris taught me that. Blissing. Lay our foundation, strengthen it, because we live in a situation in the world where the foundation is going to be, it's already the most important thing. We live in a world that has a foundation built on sand, meaning where you really don't have no foundation at all. If you living on the messages that a lot of, and I don't want to, I'm just saying what I see with my own eyes. You go and you look on social media, and it's always somebody talking about somebody else to no benefit, talking about detrimental things, talking about negativity, no discussion of the creator, no wisdom, talking about spiritual things and how we have this opportunity to prepare. There's no discussion of that, brethren. It's just the discussion is about money getting, it's about, the things of this reality. There's very few profitable messages that could feed your soul. So all we have is each other. You see how important we are to each other. That's all we have, man. You know, until power from on high and we get joined with our brethren all over the world. When the Creator raises up the faithists, people who have been laboring in the shadows, man, for that time when we get to explode. That's what it's all about. That's what we're waiting for. So, brethren, all right, nobody. All right, good enough. Brethren, thank you for joining me. Join me tomorrow, same bat time, same bat channel, Creator willing. I'm going to do the next series in line here. So, again, thank you, and pray that the Creator grant you the, according to whatever that you're going through affliction wise, and pray that the Creator will grant you relief and the desires of your heart. So, till I see you again, peace be unto you. Shalom.